Hi, it's Delusion Dispeller. I am back. I'm sorry for the fogginess of this video. The camera, for some reason, in certain lighting is not very clear. So let's talk about the very last thing about this toxic relationship situation topic that I'm talking about. So, my own personal, this is just one of several toxic situations I found myself in. I had a former mentor. Her name is Anita. And it ended up with a happy ending for both of us, actually. So I can talk about this. I've talked with her since all this happened. And I think we're on an understanding level of some sort, as much as it could be with somebody with her issues. All right. So this former mentor, Anita. It began in a situation where she was online as a group leader. We had a little group online on a forum. And she was our group leader, a religious leader. In the group, members would share very personal information about themselves, like things they were going through with their husbands or their families or their children or a dying relative or whatever. But interestingly enough, Anita never shared her information that was private, personal, like we were sharing. Nobody really noticed that till I one day was like, hey, did you ever notice? I was talking to one of the other members of the group. Do you ever notice Anita never tells us anything about herself? We don't know if she's married. We don't know if she has children. We assume she's single because you never hear her mention anything about her children or her husband. And it was just very odd to us. So we just kind of let that go on the back burner, like, okay, well, maybe she's shy. She doesn't share a lot about herself. As time went on, Anita chose a friend who later became my friend and is to this day my friend. Um, And unfortunately for Anita, this friend didn't like people to control her because she'd already been abused and controlled and she recognized it. So she put up her barrier right away and told Anita, this is the way I believe, this is what I'm doing. You're not going to make me change my mind. I'm going to do my own thing. So she wouldn't allow her full control and wouldn't allow her access into her mind psychologically to make her be controlled. So she moved on from her. She told this friend of mine, well, you need to tell Laura that I've always been here for her, and I know she just had a recent ending of a friendship, and I want to counsel her through this and help her through it and be there for her. So my friend came to me and said, well, you'll never guess who talked to me about befriending you and kind of counseling you through this rough time, because I had split with a friend of mine around that time. And I said, who? She said, Anita. And I'm like, really? She's your friend. I don't click with her. I mean, she's our leader and everything, but I don't see myself with her. Well, it ended up where I told her I didn't believe her, and she said, well, go and ask her yourself. So I did. And sure enough, Anita's like, well, I was the one that has always been there for you. I'm the spiritual mom. I'm the one that stood by you. I've always been here and you haven't seen it yourself. So, you know, I keep thinking, come over to the dark side. No, she didn't say that, but I should have heard those warning bells, but I didn't. So she told me that if I would think about it and get back to her, she would take me under her wing and kind of help me through the sadness of losing my friend and everything. It was an online friend, but I had met her in person too. So I said, okay, fine. So I let my barriers down, and Anita and I began hanging out at night. We would do impersonations with each other. Um, we both like to make voices for like Mickey Mouse and stuff like that, just to have fun. And we would stay up at night online and do impersonations and make each other laugh and tell each other jokes and talk about our lives and whatever. We would talk about the Bible, things like that. Eventually, I got to meet Anita in person, and it was very strange. I won't get into all the details of that because I'm sure I have videos on here about that somewhere. But basically met her in a cabin with another lady that we had befriended in the group, and some really weird stuff went on, and I started getting treated like a naughty child by her, and it was really disconcerting and strange. So I kind of put that on the back burner and said, well, okay, maybe she's having an off week or whatever. And we kept on talking, and eventually I earned the right to go to where Anita lived on like around my birthday and meet her in person. It ended up where she ended up turning her children against me, mocking me, put me down, demoted me from the ministry, replaced me with my best friend in friendship and ministry. I left her home feeling disillusioned, not believing everything just happened that happened to me the way that it did. Just flabbergasted, like, did that seriously just happen? Did she really treat me that way? This person that said that basically we were like partners and compadres, whatever, did she really just do all this stuff to me? But she did. It was the truth. So I came home very disillusioned. I decided to find out why it was that I tended to attract people that abused me at this point in my life. So I started asking questions. First I talked to Anita for a little while and got no answers from her. She basically said, well, if you didn't do this, then I wouldn't have done that. If you, then I, the thing we talked about in the other video. I decided to cut her out of my life completely. I went and got counseling. I went to a medical doctor to make sure nothing was physically wrong with me. I went to a spiritual healing place where I went through intense 6 hours of prayer to rid me of every negative force that could be possibly controlling me. I decided to cover all the angles, and I had no help from my husband at the time. And yes, I was married to him still. So I had to figure it out on my own. My kids were little. I didn't know what to do. I had just come out of this really messy, crazy, made my head hurt type of relationship, and I had to do something to get me back, to find out who I was again, because I had put everything I was totally on hold for this person, and forgot who I was, forgot what my favorite food was, forgot what my favorite color was, forgot where I liked to hang out, who my friends were. I totally rejected everybody just to spend all my hours with this person. So I had to get all of that back and find out who I was again. And these were the steps I took. So counseling, spiritual healing. I did a lot of research. I began speaking out about the abuse that I endured at her house and over the internet. I began learning about my own codependency tendencies, and I learned how to detach and own my own choices and behaviors and not have to control another person and not try to be good enough for another person or try to guilt somebody into being in a relationship with me that wasn't a healthy relationship. I decided to rediscover the plan that God, Yahweh, had for me, apart from relying on Anita's guidance to tell me what the Bible said and what I should believe. I came out from under her control and anybody's control. I went back to college. I got my 2 psychology degrees. I got a job, several jobs actually in that time. I dated, I remarried, I divorced again, I remarried again, and I reestablished me. And that is the only way you're going to break free from these type of toxic relationships and people, is by reestablishing yourself, by finally saying, you know what, enough is enough. I believe in who I am. Somewhere under this muck and mire that this person left me in desolation with, there is a person that has needs, wants, hopes, dreams, ideas, choices, feelings, and you need to reclaim who that is. Now, as far as Anita, a lot of people wonder, well, whatever becomes of the narcissist? In this case, Anita, during that time she was abusing me, was also being abused by her husband. She ended up leaving her husband and getting, believe it or not, getting into domestic violence counseling, domestic abuse counseling for women, and helped women who were in domestic abuse situations, help them get housing, help them get finances, which I thought was a beautiful thing. When I discovered this, I was like, well, good for her. I never ended up with evil feelings towards her that lasted. I was very angry and hurt at first. I thought she was a horrid creature and should die, like many people feel about their abusers. But honestly, after time and healing, I realized that hurting people hurt people. And she was very much hurting. I didn't know she was being abused by her husband at the time, but she informed me of that and explained to me how that all went down while I was with her and how she felt she had to treat me the way she did. Not that she did have to, but that's how she felt. She was being messed up too. She was messed up to begin with. She grew up in a bad situation too. So some of this was just, well, she is that way. But a lot of it was she was feeling very controlled and manipulated and guilted. And because she wasn't a strong person to begin with mentally, this husband of hers very much controlled who she hung out with, how she treated them, etc. As strange as that sounds, it's true. So anyway, on a happier note, Anita was a domestic violence abuse counselor, which was awesome. I was so happy because we were basically kind of in the same line of work, helping people get free from abusers. And then she met the man that she's with now, um, who is very different from her first husband, I'm happy to say, and treats her like a queen. Um, so she is now remarried. She's found a bunch of healing, which is good. And I've talked to her since then. We've pretty much parted on decent terms. We are not in a friendship on her end. She doesn't want to be for whatever reason. I think I came on very strong as the relationship ended and was putting my foot down and saying, you will never control me again. I can see right through what you're saying in text here. I know it's a manipulation. It's not going to work. And to somebody that has used manipulation and control over people for years, and they finally meet that one that stands up to them and says, I see through it. I know who you are. That's terrifying. So her way of handling it was just to get deeper into her marriage, to not have a friendship with me, to not rekindle things with me or try to make it work in a friendship. So I respect that. I've moved on. She's moved on. I'm glad she's happy. She's a grandmother now. She's finding more and more healing. She's learning about herself. That's all we all can do, you know. We can't all last in a relationship with somebody that's not healthy. And it's not smart to try to do so. So I respect her right to move on, and I've moved on. So that was my story about the toxic relationship, one of them that I was in. Thankfully, I haven't had too many after a couple more after that, because I've learned to recognize toxicity and I run from it. I don't want anything to do with drama. I don't want anything to do with toxic people. For a while, I was in a relationship, a friendship with my ex-husband's girlfriend, and that since has been cut off. So, yeah, you live and learn. Unfortunately, sometimes you learn the hard way. And I'm a caring person, so sometimes I try to care too much, and then I realize, whoa, this person's making choices, that person's making choices. It's not my job to control their choices. They have a right to choose what they want. I have a right to move on and not be subjected to their toxicity. So that's where I'm at, and that's where you should be at, and hopefully you will soon after watching this series of videos. If I can help you in any way, shape, or form, my email address is delusiondispeller, DELUSIONDISPELLER @gmail.com. You can reach me at any time at Gmail, definitely, and I'll be happy to chat with you about your situation. If you do write me, try to keep it brief, like little tiny paragraphs, because I have trouble and I go buggy-eyed with tons and tons of text. So just kind of get to the main points that you want me to look at. I'll be happy to help you where I can, give you direction and resources, and just be there for you to chat about your situation in email or whatever. I'm not doing much phone counseling at this point. I've run into some glitches with that. There are certain personality disorders that come across in my phone counseling that end up attacking me in the end, and I'm in a situation right now with my job where I cannot afford any added stress. And those of you that have seen my rash videos and my angioedema videos know that that's the case. But I'll be happy to talk to anybody in email, and if you want to send me a free will offering or whatever you want to call it, you can reach me or send that at paypal.com/delusiondispeller@gmail.com. So that's up to you. But anyways, I'm not doing phone counseling at this point, but I am definitely doing email chats and online chats if you want to chat in text or something. So that being said, I am going to end it here. Eyes wide open moving forward. If you're in a toxic relationship, like I said, tell a safe person, tell the authorities, stay safe, do things safely, but get out if you can as soon as you can, because you don't deserve that. You don't need it. And life is short. You need to go and realize your own dreams and go for what makes you happy. All right. I'm going to end it there. I've got stuff to do today. I got a busy day. It's a weekend, and I get a week off from work. I'm going to enjoy it to my utmost and my fullest, so I go back to work feeling like I got done what I wanted to do and feeling accomplished. Hope you have a wonderful, blessed, prosperous day, and we will see you soon. Bye for now.